everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little bit different because I got some new tools that would help me to record my traditional artwork processes. Obviously this is my first time taking a video of myself doing watercolor, so there's probably going to be a few problems with it, but I'll try to work with it and get better at it as we go along. But today's topic is actually going to be about comfort zones, because I haven't done watercolor since I was in college. I just sort of left traditional media behind and went completely digital for all of my comic work. And eventually I started kind of missing filling out sketchbooks and things. So I wanted to break out my watercolors and such again. So one of the reasons I left watercolor behind, probably about halfway through college, was one of my professors told me that watercolor was my comfort zone. And at the time, and I still feel this way, I don't personally feel entirely comfortable with watercolor. I don't consider it my comfort zone, especially now after returning to it after so long. That said, though, I did explore other media like colored pencil for one, because I hadn't really considered colored pencil, and I did have a lot of fun exploring collage and using pastels again, but I do have to say that I've always felt more comfortable using pastels than I ever have using a brush media. So I do think it is a good idea to work outside your comfort zone, because I think that's the time when you will probably have the most growth. And when somebody suggests to you that perhaps you should try something else because they feel that a certain media is your comfort zone, do take it into consideration. I mean, you don't obviously have to listen to what everyone says, but I mean, do actually think about it and use a little self-introspection and see if maybe they might be right. They might be wrong as well. But you know, thinking about it, at least give it a chance. I also think it's a really good idea to explore lots of different media types. For example, right now, even with watercolor painting, you'll be taking those skills you gained in watercolor painting to your digital painting as well, if you do digital painting. Another example is photography. You might not think about it, but actually when I was in school, I did take a lot of photography classes, and what I learned in photography definitely carried over to my comic making and things, because if you read my comics, you know that I really abuse the rule of thirds, which is something you learn in photography class. Speaking of comics, if you aren't familiar with my webcomic, you can find it at finesometimesrain.gankygirl.com, and I'll put a little flashy web address up here. Woohoo! Anyway, back to business. So yeah, in a nutshell, like, explore different media. Explore media you even hate. Just do it on maybe crappy paper or something. But explore different media and you definitely won't regret it. So, at the beginning of this video, I said that I did have a professor who told me that watercolor was my comfort zone. And I still disagree with them to this day. But I did what they asked of me, and that was to explore different media. And overall, I don't feel like I lost anything from the experience. I did consider more media other than watercolor and some of the other things. But basically, my point is that if you feel that somebody's wrong and you've reviewed it with your honest friends and you still feel that they were wrong, then, you know, feel free to completely ignore their advice if somebody told you that and you know it's not true. It's pretty easy to figure out your comfort zones. Just thinking about it, like, what is the media you use the most? For me, that would definitely be digital, and I feel most comfortable working digitally. So therefore, I know 100% that digital is my comfort zone. Should I stop working in digital? No, I shouldn't, because there's still plenty that I can learn with the digital media. But that said, I can still branch out and explore other things. So far, we've only discussed different mediums as being a comfort zone, whether you're comfortable with watercolor or digital or pastel drawings and so on. But there's other comfort zones as well, especially with the topics and things you choose to work with. For me, I definitely enjoy drawing women and plants, and I do that a lot. This isn't to say that I am perfect with my plant drawing, not by any means. So I know that, I still need more practice with that, but I can recognize it as a comfort zone. That's why I chose to do watercolor plants here, because I knew it was a comfort zone. So by combining something I'm not comfortable with something I'm comfortable with, it kind of makes it a little bit easier, at least for me, in my perspective. Something that I'm really not comfortable with is drawing architecture. I feel like my perspective needs a lot of work. Therefore, I would probably, I definitely do right now. Every time I'm doing an architectural drawing or I need to draw a space and I need to use perspective, I do it digitally, because digital is the media that I'm most comfortable with. So again, I'm combining something I'm not comfortable with something I'm comfortable with in order to help me get over that hump. So, is that the correct way to go about things? Maybe it's not. Maybe some people would think that that's an awful way to go about it, but you know what? It works for me, and I do feel like I'm learning things. So, as long as you feel like you're learning something, and you feel like you are trying to crack the code on those those parts of drawing that are most difficult for you, then go for it. I mean, you know your own self better than any stranger will. The other thing about comfort zones, whether you're working in your comfort zone or outside it, is that when you're working inside your comfort zone, it's a lot more relaxing because you're comfortable with it. And you should be able to have those times with your art where you're just really comfortable with it and you're enjoying the process. It's totally fine to work within your comfort zone. It's not fine to work within your comfort zone continuously. That's where you start getting yourself into trouble, because then you'll stop growing as an artist. When you're working outside your comfort zone, it should be a little bit uncomfortable, and it should definitely be challenging. That's how you know you're learning something, is whenever it's a challenge and you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But here's something about working outside your comfort zone, is you can't maintain it forever. You cannot maintain a high level of learning forever. Your brain needs some time to relax and go back to the easy stuff again. And this is why it's a good idea to, I believe, alternate between working in your comfort zone and then working outside your comfort zone, and then come back to your comfort zone again, or do like I do and work on something that is your comfort zone with a media that isn't your comfort zone, or whatever. I think you get what I'm saying, and I'm starting to ramble. So, if you're actually watching the video instead of just listening, which is fine if you want to just listen, that's totally okay. But I want to warn you, I'm going to speed up the video because this painting was really long. Okay, so I've sped up the video, and now I'm going to try to end with like a story time about comfort zones that worked out for the best. So, I mean, obviously this is going to be about me. When I first started college, I was not a serious student. Oh my god, I know, you guys are all shocked. Well, I'm not, but anyway, I'll stop goofing around. But yeah, I really wasn't a serious student, and I did really, really, really badly in an oil painting class. I didn't fail, but I did really badly. So anyway, but in my defense, okay, when you start at high school, like when you're in high school and you're practicing drawing and painting and whatnot, you don't actually get practice oil painting. At least I didn't at my high school. We did a little bit with acrylic paint, and it wasn't much of anything. So I really didn't have much experience with painting, and I definitely had zero experience painting with oils. And it also so happened that my professor, he was kind of a, okay, I'll try to be nicer. I was going to say a rude word, but I will say he was a jerk. There, that's a kinder word. And the funny thing is that professor totally is not working at my old university anymore, which is totally hilarious because he actually was an awful teacher. Anyway, moving on. Anyway, the good thing though was that in order to get into the program I wanted to be in, which at the time was the art education program, I had to have a higher GPA. So I ended up going back and retaking that painting class, and I had an entirely different teacher. And that teacher was quite determined to make me into a painter, and he totally did. Because, I mean, I really came to that class feeling like I was definitely not a painter, at least not an oil painter. I knew how to paint digitally at that point, but I really did not think I was an oil painter, and he most assuredly proved me wrong. And it was a very difficult class. It was very challenging, but you know, I look back on it and it was really enjoyable. And now I even paint in oils in my free time, just for fun, just to you know, go outside, do some plein air, that kind of thing. So, you know, working outside your comfort zones can lead to great things, especially if you have an amazing teacher like I ended up getting. And so I can't believe it, but I've forgotten his name, but he was awesome. And I believe he was only like, oh, what do they call them? Where they're not there all the time. An adjunct. He was an adjunct, and he was a master's student, and he was great. And I learned so much. So yeah. So work outside your comfort zones, people, because it will lead to great things in the end. Also, I want to make the point that in taking that oil painting class over again and finally learning how to conquer oil painting, it like within just over the course of that class, a few months even, my digital painting skill like skyrocketed. Like, it was crazy. I learned so much, and I also learned a lot in another drawing class too that helped me a lot. So yeah, I mean, really, working outside your comfort zone definitely gonna make you improve by leaps and bounds. So that about wraps it up for this video. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I am pretty much at Tsukiono everywhere, except Facebook. I am Amy Stoddard Illustration there. So feel free to check out my other social media sites and interact with me or my work there. Also, as I already mentioned, I do have a webcomic. It's finesometimesrain.gankygirl.com, so please check it out. I also have a Kickstarter running for it right now, which you can find the link to it on my website. I mean, obviously it's going to be huge because, yeah, Kickstarter, big deal. You can also feel free to like my videos and subscribe. Also, please go ahead and let me know in the comments your own stories with working outside your comfort zone, whether it's good or bad. Go ahead and share both kinds of stories. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.